Hey everybody, Tanya from ShootingStarSVG back, and today I want to talk to y'all about how to create Tumbler wraps with Inkscape. So if this is your first time here, go ahead and click on like and subscribe below, as that does keep me motivated to continue making these videos, so that way you can grow your business and change your life. And if you haven't already, head on over to the Facebook group where we are creating a community of like-minded individuals looking to grow their semi-passive income with digital downloads. I apologize in advance. My allergies are killing me, so I'm a little bit stuffy, and Felix is pretty noisy, so you'll probably hear him in the background. But I wanted to talk about designing Tumbler wraps. So I have become quickly obsessed with sublimation, particularly Tumbler designs, and there are a lot of people out there wondering how they can create their own designs and instead of purchasing them, right? And we don't have to make it overtly like overcomplicated for the most part, because it really just isn't, right? So I just want to break it down for everybody because it can be pretty simple if you have the right tools. And a lot of the times the right tools are a pattern of some sort in a graphic, or just being able to utilize fonts and colors in a certain way, or utilizing clip art or things of that nature to create these Tumbler wraps for your customers, or even to sell if you're doing it the right way, right? Just know that if you are using items that you buy off of, design bundles, Etsy, Creative Market, Creative Fabrica, wherever it may be, that you're altering them enough that you cannot get that original image off. So I've created quite a few Tumbler templates that I've been utilizing for physical products, but would not resell them because they're utilizing like the graphic as a whole, and I just can't do that legally, okay? But with all that being said, we're gonna head over to my computer screen. It's a pretty quick, simple tutorial in Inkscape. I'm just going to show you one of my more popular selling physical products and show you all how you can get there. So all of the stuff that I have for this particular design, you can find on design bundles. So if you just type in mermaid scale, Tumbler wrap, hopefully mine will pop up somewhere at the top. It might not. Well, there's a lot of them. Okay, so let me try to spell it right. That might help. Okay, here we go. So one of mine has popped up here on the top. This is one of the smaller bundles, but there is a larger bundle that you can purchase, and I'll show you what those look like in just a second. But you can see these just are kind of like the very scaly look. So if I go back to my shop, I can show you the, let's see, mermaid. We'll just type in mermaid. There's a very large bundle for $9, and that includes the regular scales as well as the full-blown glitter and several different styles. So you can see this here, and this is probably one of the more popular sellers. Okay, and then the other file that I'm using is actually from the Plus products. This is the file here. Okay. So I basically took those two and combined them to create a Tumbler template, okay? So to start off, you have to keep in mind that every Tumbler is going to measure a little bit differently. What I have found that works for me is 9.45 inches in width and 8.2 in height. The 8.2 makes it so that I have perfect height. I'm not going underneath that little taper, which will help with ghosting on the bottom and the top. But the 9.45 makes it so that I have barely an overlap when I cut my images, okay? So what you're going to want to do is start off with a rectangle. Come up here to change the width to that 9.45, and you're going to change the height to 8.2, okay? We're just going to leave that there. And you can leave this as black. If I'm working with overlays, sometimes I will change my opacity and lower that down so I can see the other image in the background. So you can just go down here to where the O is and change that opacity, okay? So obviously I do have all of the glitter files here because they're mine and I created them. And if you would like to know how to create your own glitter scale pattern, you can go check that video up above, and I'll walk you through how to do that in Inkscape. It's actually a really cool trick to learn. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this turquoise one in and click OK. I'll move that out of the way. And you can see that this will actually line up completely with this because it is already set. Well, this one is 9.637. So what I'll do here is I will select the pattern and select the background. I'm going to go to my alignment tool, and I'm just going to align these up middle and middle. Then what you're going to want to do is bring that mermaid pattern to the back, okay? You're going to select both, and then you're going to go to Object, Clip, Set, okay? Now you see that the width is 9.45 and the height is 8.2. So, depending on what you're trying to do, I have this other graphic in my designs here. Let me see if I can't find it. I just saw it a moment ago. Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and drag this over. If I just place this as is, it looks, you know, pretty good. I'm going to make sure my aspect ratio is turned on. I'm going to lower the width to about 4. And I'm going to bring this in. So for some reason, it's showing a little bit opaque on the back of this, and I think that's for a reason. So what I will normally do is, excuse me, I have all these bleach shirt effect pings that I also have gotten off design bundles, and I'll include all of these links below. And what I'll do is I will drag one of these in. This is going to be a little bit harder to see because it is white. Oh, God. So I'm probably going to have to turn on my checkerboard. So to do that, I'm just going to go to Document Properties, turn that checkerboard on. You can see that it's way down here. All right. So I'm going to zoom back in. I'm going to drop this down a layer. And I'm going to decrease the size of this. And I'm going to go ahead and center this up on the page. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And you see how this kind of like makes the back end of that image just pop a little bit? I'm going to drag it down by holding Control. And I'm going to make sure that this is centered up to the page as well. Okay, now that's centered. I'm just going to drag this down to also be in the middle. Now, you don't have to go with this bleach effect if you don't want to, but it does add kind of like a little bit more of a pop to it. You can resize those two so you see fit. When you're ready to export, you're just going to click on the back layer. You want to make sure that the layer that you click on is the back layer, and it's the 9.45 and the 8.2. You're going to go to your Export PNG tab here, okay? And you can get there by clicking Control-Shift-Echo. You're going to see that blank, and it will open up. You want to make sure you have selection checked. You're going to see this width and height at your 300 dpi. And then you're just going to click Export As to make sure that you have that saved somewhere. I'm just going to save that on my desktop. Okay. And that's going to go ahead and export that. Then when you're done, you can go ahead and open it up in Silhouette Studio or whatever you're printing from. And you can center this up to, you know, get it printed out. And this will print out in the size that you need. Now, I do recommend checking to see what these things look like. So one thing that I do is I will utilize Photopea. Let me see if I can't get to this real quick. That way I can just drag it over and have it set up. So you can see that I use this as like a base. And so what I'll do is I'll open up the wrap design. And I'm just going to go ahead and open up the one that we just created from the desktop. And I'm going to click onto that. I'm going to whoops, I didn't mean to duplicate. I meant to go to duplicate into and layer 72 because that's my smart object. And I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit. I'm going to hit Control S on my keyboard to save it. You can see the smart object is updated. Now you can see what that will look like on a full Tumbler, which is really cool. So you have the opportunity to look at that. If you're looking for mock-ups like this, just let me know. Shoot me an email, drop a comment, and I'll give you the link for those mock-ups. But it'll kind of show you without having to create the design on a cup and waste a cup, because sometimes those can be expensive, what that would kind of look like. So if you want to adjust the size of the graphic or whatever it may be. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. But So I utilize Silhouette Studio quite a bit when I am creating or printing. That's usually where I print from. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more. But what I'm going to do is, whoops, I'm just going to hit new here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize a pattern. So again, here I'm going to change my width to 9.45 and my height to 8.2. And I'm going to go back to my images here. Let's see. Let me go to paper. All right, so I have this black rainbow digital paper that has a bunch of different designs in it. And you can see this is a 12 by 12, so it's much bigger than what I was working with before because it's not already made for a tumbler. So again, drop that opacity down to 50%. You're going to drop this down to the background, okay? Now there's a few ways that you can do this. You can try to resize it. Again, I try to keep the aspect ratio on to the best of my ability and drop that down to maybe 10. That way you're getting some of that red in there. And then just use your alignment tool, choosing last selected, and get that shored up. And then you can go to, again, select both, object, clip, set, and that's going to make it so that you have it in the Tumbler template. That way you're not resizing it, stretching it, skewing it, whatever, when you are changing those aspect ratios. You saw how we actually locked it and clipped it instead of trying to make the width to fit and the height to fit the actual Tumbler template, okay? So that will make sure you're not skewing anything. And then if you wanted to go ahead and add something on top of this, you can. Again, I highly recommend those pre-made bleach PNG templates. Again, white is not going to show up or print in a sublimation printer, but, you know, whatever your cup is, so if you have a white cup, it will show up white. If it's that glitter effect, it will show up that glitter white. If it's holographic, you'll have some spots where, or UV, I'm sorry, the spots where the UV will show through in the sun. And again, if it's glow in the dark, you'll have some more spots where it will glow, okay? So all these things you have to take into consideration depending on what your substrate is, because it's not just a straight white Tumbler templates, right? So this is how you would utilize, you know, patterns. And then again, you just utilize your text the same way you always would. And just kind of like go from there. I have a bunch of tutorials on the YouTube channel on how you can manipulate text to kind of get some different types of designs here. Just keep in mind, if you're stacking clip art, you want to make sure that you're overlapping it in such a way that, like, you're not taking away from the design. So I know that, like, one of the designs that I purchased, I like to use, it's a good example, is this Dead Inside but Caffeinated. I also bought this one off of Design Bundles. I really liked it. So you see that there's like a bunch of different clip art on here. Now I'm not sure if this person designed the clip art or not, but you can see that like the pattern that they have in the bow is the same as the pattern in the background, which is really cool. But you can see how a lot of this stuff just kind of overlaps itself. It does look like this was strategically placed clip art, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay. And you want to just make sure that if you are placing clip art, that you're placing it in such a way that like somebody couldn't come in and take that off the background. So if there's enough stuff behind it and enough stuff muddying it about, then it should be no issue, okay? I'll go ahead and delete that. Basically what I'm getting at is you don't have to overcomplicate the process, right? So here's another one that I created. I took a pattern that I had purchased. I had a bleach background, and then this was another SVG that I had purchased that I superimposed with a watercolor background, okay? And that seemed to work out. Before I had that actually just blank, but, you know, it was just one of those things. This is one that I had purchased off of Etsy that I really enjoyed. This one has the B word in it, so I'm sorry. I put this one on a shimmer tumbler, and it came out really good. So I really enjoyed that. This is one that I had made as well. Another one that I have made, you know, then you got, oops, I'm like starting to check the box now. Then I have created this zipper Tumbler, which actually has been really cool. I think I'm just going to go ahead and sell the template for that because it's just, I don't really know what to do with it, but I have this design that I'm working on right now for work to create some cups for my group. And then, you know, this popular design by Trina I've utilized in quite a few physical products. Excuse me. This is one of my better bestsellers. Again, this is just a background with a bleach template and one of my SVGs that I have thrown up on here. Okay. And then I've created just some like basic patterns. This is, one of my basic patterns that I have created with a bleach spot and an SVG on the top of it. So the possibilities are really endless, right? It really just depends on what the end user is and how creative you can get with combining elements together to create these. So I'm going to walk through how to do this in Silhouette Studio as well. I just wanted to show you in Inkscape. Inkscape is a free-to-use tool. And if you're curious on how Inkscape works, the Facebook group gets a ridiculous discount on courses. But you can go ahead and check out the Inkscape course on how to create SVGs. I do go over how to create seamless patterns, which can definitely help you with the Tumbler template design. So feel free to go ahead and check that out at courses.shootingstarsvg.com. And if y'all have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help y'all. That is what I enjoy to do. You can drop a comment in the comments below, or head on over to the Facebook group where we are creating a community of like-minded individuals looking to grow their semi-passive income with digital downloads. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll catch y'all on the next video. ShootingStarSVG, signing off.